science fiction writer from South America, and I would like to know how big is science fiction fandom and writerhood in South America and in Brazil specifically?
Because in Brazil we love science fiction movies and series. Everyone loves like Mirror and all this dark, all this productions in TV and movies. But when it comes to literature, sometimes it's a bit harder. It's not everyone knows what we're doing here in Brazil. But when people love science fiction, they usually look for American and English, British examples, of science fiction. But I believe we have a growing and an expanding community here in Brazil. And I guess we're sort of educating people here in Brazil that literature is great, that science fiction is great when produced here, So we have more and more initiatives to develop this kind of mentality, here in Brazil. So we do have a tradition, but people often forget that some of the most famous authors here in Brazil actually did write science fiction, and people just forget about that. And I think this is interesting, because as a genre, people think, oh no, it's too hard for me, or it's too cerebral, but they actually really enjoy when they look for it, when they start reading some good examples of work, of traditional science fiction, and even in Brazilian science fiction that is traditional as well. So we do have an expanding community, but I think we're mostly writers and also readers. People that write also read a lot. That's the main thing that happens here, I guess.
Do you find that there are some topics in which South American writers, science fiction writers, are more focused or interested than in Europe or U.S. science fiction writers?
Yeah, I guess there's a tradition here in Brazil that we always give the tradition, the Brazilian twist. So if we have the alien perspective, for example, we turn it very Brazilian. I guess that's something that we do a lot. Even from the 50s and the 60s until now, we really do this twist to make it more Brazilian. But I really think we love some themes that are being developed right now. For example, we really love steampunk here in Brazil, and it's funny because we don't have the whole British tradition of Elizabethan, the Victorian universe, but we do have a few things that happened in the 19th century here in Brazil that we are now trying to turn into literature and science fiction. So we just have a series now based on a series of books, and now it's a TV show about steampunk in Brazil in the 19th century with famous characters of our literature, the main literature, not exactly just science fiction, but that we turned into science fiction in this TV show and series that is steampunk. We do love that. And we also have a lot of tradition, I guess, into turning these main, models, main genres, subgenres of science fiction into Brazilian. For example, we do have a lot of cyberpunk, but in the São Paulo, the biggest city here in Brazil, reality. So how do we turn that into more Brazilian, more friendly? And we do have a lot of tradition in fantasy as well. We have a very rich folklore that is turning into material, I guess, for science fiction and fantasy as well here in Brazil. So I guess that's the main twist that we do. We love American, as I said, and British science fiction. We look a lot to very old authors as Asimov and Ray Bradbury. A lot of people are just discovering them now, but people are writing their stories, And also, I guess something that is really, really strong here in Brazil is Afrofuturism. I guess we're developing a great tradition here in Brazil as well. We have a lot of great Black authors writing their own perspectives on science fiction that are fantastic, that are absolutely great. So I guess we're trying to copy sometimes a few models around the world to, you know, to get in the trend. But we do have a lot of great production here in Brazil as well.
We know a lot of South American mainstream writers, the biggest names, for example, Jorge Luis Borges and Marquez and others, which had big influence on world literary processes. And there were created and invented many genres in South America. But what would you say? Can we say that those writers have big influence now on science fiction writers also?
I guess yes, I guess so. But I don't know if it's Brazil is such a huge place, you know. We have so many authors writing from so many places. But I guess one author that really plays with these references and this legacy is Anahushi. I believe you spoke to her. She's a great author here in Brazil, and she really plays with the legacy of magical realism that for us in Brazil, we sort of refuse, I guess, for a while this label, you know, even though we had like great authors again really writing magical realism, such as Guimarães Rosa, that is a great author here in Brazil. And we always try to get away from the Latin narrative sometimes, and I guess that's a bit dangerous for us. I don't know. It's really silly. That's something I'm sure of. But we do have some roots, you know, the shared roots here in Brazil when it comes to this tradition. So I guess we're more attentive now for these roots, and some authors really do that pretty well. I guess you do have some authors that really enjoy and embrace this legacy of Latin America tradition on magical realism. So, and I think that's something that we should really explore more, you know, because even now we do have a tendency to go for the Anglophone world when it comes to fantasy and science fiction, and that is something that is in our history, you know. When science fiction started to be a more organized genre here in Brazil, our references were really the same as you know, all the time, like Ray Bradbury, as I said, that it was really popular here in Brazil, for example, and Asimov and Clarke. But I guess these new authors that are, you know, happening right now, that are writing right now, they are more attentive to this legacy that we have, that this shared root.
We have to confess that not always science fiction literature is not always full of hope. It is sometimes very pessimistic. And what do you see about your generation? Is your generation pessimistic or optimistic about future? What is the future views of your generation science fiction writers?
I think we do have a tendency of being, I mean, from my generation, I guess, of being a little optimistic, you know, even though this is not the main the main idea, I guess. But I was in a collection of short stories called Glimpses of a Bitter Future, that was really about the ideas of Stephen Hawking's perspective, you know, for the future. So he did like 6 or 7 predictions, and he wrote about them, and he said, okay, our future is going to be really grim if we don't know what we're doing. And the idea, you know, behind this collection was really to develop his ideas. So, okay, if the future is going to be grim, what should we do about it, you know? And even though the title is a little, you know, somber, a little grim as well, the main ideas, you know, the main focus in all stories really were, okay, we are sort of doomed, but if we try to work together, we can really achieve great things. So I guess that's a thing, you know. We always say that Brazil is the country of the future. I don't know if people believe that anymore, but we do have this responsibility of um, looking at the future with, if not optimistic eyes, at least knowing that we can try to change things, you know. So I guess one genre that's really expanding here in Brazil is folk punk. You know, that is that subgenre about trying to fight collectively for a better world. I guess that's sort of the main idea here, even though we know that the things are really difficult, and even especially in Brazil, you know, we have the moment now is really terrible and catastrophic, but we do have to, sort of protect ourselves, you know, and see the future as something that we can still create, you know. So as a science fiction writer, I really believe that. I really believe that science fiction has a tradition of, influencing the future, not exactly describing it or, decoding it or anything, but trying to create it collectively, you know. We're so tempted to say, oh, yeah, this book really predicted the future, but actually it's really about looking at the moment you are and trying to make predictions, you know. So I try to be optimistic, and I guess many of my colleagues maybe think the same, I guess.
You often go to World Science Fiction Convention.
Yeah, I do actually. I was at Worldcon 77 in Dublin, and I was there to talk about actually Brazil. It was hard. It was a sad moment of my life, you know. And we weren't even as bad as right now because it was in 2019. So we're just starting to see all the terrible things that would happen in 2020, and but still people were really curious about that. But I love world conventions. I really try to attend them as much as I can. I went to Worldcon this year as well, and it was great. It was really nice. It was really good to see everyone.
What is the pandemic situation now in Brazil?
Yeah, now at least in my city, we're in a yellow notice. You know, in the yellow phase again. Like it's really strange because here in Brazil we don't have like the second wave. We just have this major first wave that actually did calm down a little bit in the last months, but is increasing all over again because um, actually when it came to when the elections came, it was sort of flexibilized, like, oh, okay, you don't have to actually stay at home, you can go out and vote, but we have so many complicated issues as well because the president refuses to, accept the COVID as many other places and leaders are doing as well. But we really feel that we are being lied to all the time, because this guy, even though many people don't believe him and don't think he's being honest, many people do believe him. And that's the main problem because people are leaving their houses with no masks, no protections, and because they think that it's over. So it's really hard, actually this is something that I was thinking about because it's really hard to write science fiction in a place, in a country that people don't value science. And it tells a lot about it.
You think all these troubles we are facing now in the world can change many things, specifically in literature? Can it bring some new voices, new tones, new subgenres, for example, in speculative fiction?
At first, I really thought many positive things would happen after the pandemics. I really did. I was very optimistic about it because people were really trying to understand it better. But more and more, I am a little. I don't know. I don't think that that we may change all that much. I think it will be a lesson for many people. I guess we'll try to put more effort in taking care of ourselves and really trying to, I don't know, I'm torn, I'm divided, because I guess in the private life, maybe we would make some changes, and I hope that the next presidents and governments will do something about it. Some people really predicted this, really, they saw it coming, even though that it sounded science fiction-y, sounded strange. And I don't know, I really think we can achieve positive things. I'm not sure that humanity will take this path. I guess in a maybe in a decade, maybe in 5 years, we'll see more transformation. I think for now, everyone's so tense. We're trying so much to recover a life that won't happen anymore. So I'm not sure that it will be immediate, but I guess in a while we can see some positive changes. I'll go for that. But I don't think that every country and every person will see that. I was just talking to my mother, because she said that she received a video of a guy on WhatsApp talking about, okay, so you really don't have to believe in the vaccine. You shouldn't be locked down. You shouldn't be at your home because someone is trying to control you. So I guess this paranoia will be really, really strong in the next years. And maybe just in the future, we'll be able to look at this time and place and recognize that we're doing some weird choices, I guess, and that we really have to take care that this won't repeat, that this won't happen again, even though it will happen again. It's part of the decisions that we're doing right now and for the last years as well. So it will, but maybe we can try to be more prepared, I guess.
What do you think will be the technology to something which will be most advanced in the future? What can be developed most of all?
Actually, when it comes from this year, I really think we have so much to develop on in terms of communication, of doing this, this kind of interview and interaction, because the first thing people really wanted, when the pandemics came and everything, was really how to make this environment, the virtual environment more friendly, that people don't feel so tired and so connected to their laptops all the time to have fun and to work and to everything. So maybe that's something that we can see it even more developed, because communications are such a huge part of our world, and they are one of the main technologies that are developed for the last 100 years, that changed the most. So I guess we can see some differences as well, some changes, in the future. Let me see if I can think of anything else. Yeah, I guess that's the thing that I am working right now, in my fiction and in my ideas. But I guess that's something that really, really changed. That we'll have like more ways to interact with people and AI. I can just yesterday I was watching a video of a journalist, an AI journalist in South Korea, and she was perfect. She was amazing. She was saying, news. She was talking about the news in current time. She was so fast, and the guys that were programming her, they were so fast. They said, oh, she can go for hours like that. She can always say the news in current time. In the moment, they're happening. So that was really impressive. So it's a cliche, but I guess I'm going for that as well.
Thank you for being my guest, and I wish you all the best.